Hello everyone, my friendly fragrant friends. I wanted to thank you for checking out this video. And the impetus for this video was something that we were talking about in my fragrance group on Facebook earlier today. And I'm going to put a link to that group here in the description and maybe even make a link pop up. I don't know how to figure that out. But I like to post stuff up in there, scent of the day, and that kind of thing, so that we can be discussing those things. So again, the group is tailored towards people that are a little bit newer to the fragrance community, and that is exactly why I decided to shoot this video. So today, the scent that I had chosen as my scent of the day is something that I wanted to test out, and it is one of the ones that's being super hyped right now. There's a lot of YouTube videos about it, and you can see people buying and selling this like crazy in the fragrance community and the Facebook groups. And that is this one. I'm going to see if my camera will let us look at it. Almost. Well, anyway, I almost did it. So this is Elysium Cologne by Roja, and it's pretty interesting. So I had clones of this. I bought Supernova a while back, and I bought Zion as well. And I didn't really like either one of them that much. I wound up selling both of them. But this fragrance, I just saw it pop up so many times on Facebook, that nice blue bottle, that I convinced myself that I needed to try it again. Like, I'm not even sure why. I didn't really care for either of the clones, but still, I decided that I wanted to take a look at this fragrance again. I'm kind of glad I did. It's pretty good. I've really only tested it for a little while, so there's not much sense in doing a review since I don't know that much about it. But the thing I got to thinking about this was I wanted to try this fragrance again, and I could have gone out there and bought a bottle because they're all over the groups right now, or at least they have been in the last few days. But a bottle of this Elysium it retails for $290 for 100 ml, and you can find it for somewhere in the neighborhood of $200, maybe a little less. I've seen some pretty full partials go for 185 and that kind of price range. But that's exactly what we wanted to talk about today. So, for people that are a little bit newer to the fragrance community, one of the things that I really am glad that I found out is that if you want to try something like this, you can buy what's called a decant of it. And that's what I held up. So, somebody in one of the Facebook groups told me this. This is a 10 mil travel spray of this. And I believe I paid 20 or $30. So that probably seems a little silly for only 10 milliliters of a fragrance, but if you compare that to dropping $200 on 100 milliliters of something that you're not familiar with, it starts to make a little more sense. This is something that I started doing a while back. So I like to watch YouTube fragrance reviews, and I'm as suggestible as anybody. When I see a lot of people talking about a fragrance, I feel like I need to check it out. Or if I feel like a lot of people are talking about a fragrance in a Facebook group, I feel like I'd like to check it out. And if I did that for bottles, like, I'd probably be divorced. I'd be broke. I'd be living out on the street, and I'd have to make my home out of the presentation boxes for these bottles, because some of the prices on these things are wild. And I started buying decants for that very reason. So I'll give you a couple more examples. Last year, when I was really getting back into fragrances, Baccarat Rouge 540 was something that people were talking a lot about, and people still talk a lot about that one, and rightfully so. But I saw all the reviews, I saw all the discussion, so I decided that I wanted to check it out. But if you look at that one, that's another one. And MFK I love, favorite house of mine. But retail on 540 is $300 for a 70 ml bottle. And if you want the straight version, it's $425 for a 70 ml bottle. So that is not insignificant money. So I wound up, once again, picking up decants. This is the regular and this is the extrait. So the regular you can get for 20 some dollars for 10 milliliters. The extrait I did find for $45 for 10 milliliters. So again, not cheap, but I've seen it up to 55 because the bottle's so expensive. But again, $45 versus $425 to test something out that I can't get my nose on any other way is not insignificant. So I wanted to talk about just a few reasons why I think that our newer friends should look at decants instead of considering bottles. So the first one is there's just too many fragrances out there. If you have a note that you like, maybe a particular scent, like I really like vanilla, you go on there and you ask what's the best vanilla, you're going to get dozens of recommendations. There's no way for you to check all these things out. I mean, I shouldn't say no way. Perhaps you're very well off. There's no way for me to check all these things out. So there's no way I could buy bottles of all that stuff. So I go with decants. And every day there's new companies coming out. There's indie houses, there's niche houses, there's designers. It's really difficult to keep track of everything. And if you're like me, you see a YouTube video on something you want to try it. So I'll go out there and Google and find out it costs $200 for a bottle, and probably shouldn't be laying out $200 for a bottle of everything that I want to try out, especially if I've never smelled it before. Which leads me to a second point, and that is that YouTuber motives are not always known. And this is not to say anything bad about anybody that does reviews, but we don't always know why these fragrances are being hyped. I mean, they could be hyped for a number of reasons. People are putting out videos on them because they know that this will get them more views. They might have been given the fragrance for free and are saying nice stuff about it so that they can continue to get fragrances for free from this company. Maybe the company wanted to partner with them, give them a discount code that kicks them back some kind of affiliate commission. You just never know why people are hyping these fragrances. And again, like I said, this is not to say anything bad about anybody, because I don't know why they're doing it either. I'm just throwing these things out there as reasons why people might do these videos. And again, it could just be as simple as the fact that certain fragrances are popular enough that if you show up in the search, then you can get some new views and you can get some new subscribers. And that in itself might be enough to make the cost of the bottle worth it to you if you have a channel that's big enough. And obviously I can say that as somebody that has a channel that's not big at all. So maybe in years it'll be different, who knows. But right now, those are some things that I think about. Another thing, if you're newer to fragrances, is that the notes can often be hard to discern. So you might know that you like vanilla, or you like coconut, or you like ambroxan, or you like whatever. But the way these notes and these accords get blended can be dramatically different from fragrance to fragrance. So just because you see a note in there that you like doesn't mean that you're going to be able to pick it out, or it's going to smell like you're expecting it to. So if you have just dropped somewhere around $200 for a bottle of something based on a note that you were hoping to be prominent and it wasn't prominent, then you might be a little bit disappointed about that. Some of these perfumers are true artists, and they blend things up so well that's something new, something entirely new arises from that. So that's something that you also have to be careful about, especially if you don't have a trained nose or you're not used to smelling a whole bunch of different fragrances. Another reason is that you don't know how these fragrances will work on your skin. The number one, or at least number two question that people are constantly asking about fragrances is, how is the performance? How is the performance? How is the performance? How is the sillage? How is the projection? And this is different for everybody. We all have different types of skin, different levels of oil on our skin. The way our body reacts to certain chemicals is different. So you could buy a fragrance that you love that someone told you is beast mode. They get 12 to 14 hours on it, and they take a shower, and they're still smelling it 6 days later. And then you put on, and your skin just absorbs it. It disappears. So maybe you've gone asnomic to it, but maybe also it just doesn't perform well on your skin. So you get 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and now you've paid $200 and you're disappointed. So Wouldn't it be better to pay $20 to $30 for a few milliliters of that and find out if it works or not before you lay out that money for the whole bottle? So again, those are just a few reasons that I think that beginners should go and get decants. Hey, I'll throw in a bonus fifth reason. And the fifth reason is that you can basically get a decant of anything if you go on there and ask. There's stuff that's popular that people are splitting, and you can find that easily. But what I've learned, even in recent days, is that if you put a post out there on a big group like Fragrance Swap or somewhere else, just tell people what you're looking for and that you want to get a decant of it. Somebody will tag somebody else. Send them a message and ask them if they'd be willing to sell you 5 or 10 mils of whatever it is you're looking for, and you can probably find it. So I mean, don't be hesitant just because something is not popular or there's not a lot of people talking about it. Somebody owns it, and they'll probably split you off some, even if they're not actively advertising it. You need to be willing to pay what it's worth based on the retail price of the bottle. So yeah, and that gets to probably the only downside of decants, if you can even call it a downside, and that's that the price per milliliter is high, but it's such a small price to pay to try something to make sure that you like it. Like I'm totally a proponent at this point of buying bottles of these real fragrances. Again, like this Roja, the Elysium, I'm trying to make up my mind on it still, but I've actually been enjoying it for the few hours that I've worn it so far. So since I was able to try this decant of it, that may lead to me spending a couple $100s on a purchase of a bottle. Some other ones, Baccarat Rouge, that is another one that I didn't get it when I first tried it. So I may have found myself purchasing a bottle, flipping it, losing money, and then wanting to revisit it later, only to find that I like it. Well, since I have that decant that I spent 20-some dollars on, I can put it in a drawer, figure out if I want to try it again, and if I do, I can pull the decant back out of the drawer, instead of buying another huge bottle. So anyway, we like to talk about decants, and I'm really hoping to help newer members of the fragrance community. So I started a group called Welcome to FragComm. Again, we'll put a link in the description at the very least. So if you are newer, or if you are seasoned, you know a lot about fragrances, and you have wisdom that you'd like to pass on because you want to help out people that are newer, I urge you to join the group as well. Just answer the questions. They're super easy questions. I just want to make sure that you're a real person and not somebody who wants to spam and sell stuff, and I'll get you in the group. So one last word of caution. This is a little bit scattered, but I realized that I did want to say this. Be careful with your purchasing. Just because you're spending less money on decants does not mean that you can't still go broke buying decants of fragrances. Because once you get into niche and you get into expensive stuff, you'll find yourself spending anywhere from $20 to $50 on a small bottle of a fragrance. And while that's nowhere near as much as the $200 to $400 that you could spend on a real bottle, they still add up. And when you're spending those small chunks of money, you might not think about it quite as much. Then the next thing you know, like, you didn't buy a $200 bottle of fragrance, but you might have spent $250 or $300 on decants of fragrances. So just be careful of that. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Join the group and let me know in the comments what you think about buying decants. See you next time.